Good morning. Today's April 18th, and we are looking at Psalm 17, 35, 54, and 63. As we read about David's life, we are also looking at the Psalms that he wrote to help us better understand the big picture. There are 150 Psalms in our Bible, comprised of poetry and songs from several authors. Psalms is actually 5 books in one. Interestingly, they correlate with the 5 books of Torah. Chapters 1 through 41 parallel Genesis as a psalm book of creation and man's need for God. Chapter 42 to 72 reflect the Exodus, the slaves delivered by God's redeeming love. Chapters 73 through 89, like Leviticus, focus on worship and the sanctuary of God. Chapters 90 through 106 recount, as Numbers does, the wanderings of God's people. And chapter 107 to 150 is a reminder, like Deuteronomy, that we need God, we are to obey Him, and praise Him for who He is. Today we will look at 4 of David's writings, 2 from the first book and 2 from the second book of Psalms. In Psalm 17, David begins with, "Hear a just cause, O Lord. Give heed to my cry. Give ear to my prayer. I have purpose that my mouth will not transgress." He lays out his frustration with his enemies, and yet he reminds himself that God will hear and answer and test and deliver him, as David purposes to behold God's face in righteousness. In Psalm 35, David asks God to contend with his enemies. David humbles his soul with fasting, and he knows that God sees all of the wrongs. He trusts that God will be magnified through these challenges. Psalm 54 was written during the events of 1 Samuel, when David is hiding from Saul. He prays to God, acknowledging that God is his helper, the sustainer of his soul. Even among enemies, David thanks God for delivering him. Lastly, Psalm 63 was written when David was in the wilderness. He remembers in his sleep that God has been his help, that God upholds him, even when people seek to destroy his life. I'd like to close with the first 3 verses of this last psalm, where he says, "O God, you are my God. I shall seek you earnestly. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh yearns for you, in a dry and weary land where there is no water. Thus I have seen you in the sanctuary, to see your power and your glory, because your loving kindness is better than life. My lips will praise you." I think we can relate on some level with many of the heart cries expressed in the Psalms, and how comforting to know that a shepherd boy 3,000 plus years ago found peace in knowing God, just as we can today. Oh, that we will earnestly seek Him too.